Hello, Edwina Murphy-Droomer is my name, and I want to warmly welcome you to this interview in the series where I am speaking to phenomenal feminine entrepreneurs in order to gain their life-changing insights on taking control of your prosperity, your freedom, and your beautiful future. Today, I am so delighted to introduce you to Caroline Labouchere. Did I say it right, your surname, Caroline?
You did Labouchere like chair. It's actually
Labouchere.
the wife of the butcher, I think. The butcher's wife.
Well, it sounds much better coming out of your mouth. Caroline, for those in our audience that haven't had the pleasure of meeting you until now, I would love to share some of your journey. But first, before we dive in there, I just want to say thank you so much for making the time to do this. I know that you've just moved house. No small feat.
Moving from a three-bedroom villa to a two-bedroom apartment is a challenge.
Yeah.
We find that we're just moving stuff to one room,
Yeah.
making it look good, and then moving out. I mean, it's a process, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it
And
is.
it's moving forward at the end of the day, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, well, we're going to dive into that a little bit further in the interview because I think it's really interesting to talk about what I call that third chapter. It's like the young children, then the older children, and the children moving out. And I actually think that that's a really exciting chapter, but we'll dive in there in a minute. Let's go back. So I found you, Caroline, because I was transitioning to grey hair and I was looking for people to inspire me, people that I thought were incredibly beautiful and doing it with grace, which is how I found you. So let's look at your story pre becoming a model at 54. What were you doing beforehand?
I was a school receptionist,
Yep.
sort of an odd job. I'd never had a career, married at 27, and did courses. So I became an upholsterer, a curtain maker. I even learned how to do nails because we were moving around a lot. So it was, oh, what should I do this time to earn some pennies? Just impossible to, luckily I didn't want a career, but it was impossible to have a career.
Yeah, because your husband was in the army, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
30 years.
Okay. So lots of different locations around the planet. Have you lived a lot of?
Yes,
Mm.
India, which was probably the best. India for a year, and Canada, and lots of Germany, lots of different places, America.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, good, all good,
Yeah.
exciting.
India intrigues me, and this is right off topic, but it's funny. I was having this conversation with my husband the other night, watching an Indian movie, and just thinking, wow, it is on. I've traveled a lot, but I haven't been there, and it just looks like such an intriguing place.
Yeah, we were very lucky in that we were treated as residents. We had a car, had a base, as in a house, an apartment, with a wonderful cook. Because I
Yeah.
did get sick. In fact, I was about 6.5 stone when we lived there, and my normal weight is 8.5 stone. So
Oh,
it's a big difference. So
yeah.
that's 28 pounds less, and I had salmonella, I think, for
Uh,
the year we were there. But it
uh,
didn't disrupt my life at all.
yeah.
Um, there were just challenges in living there,
Yeah.
but in having a house, I was able to take food from our house to wherever, if we were traveling or whatever, I would always take food with me. But we even managed to do IVF and get pregnant,
Wow.
even at 6.5 stone, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I imagine that made for you. I'm visualizing you that tiny with a
Tiny.
pregnant belly.
I know, but it was the most amazing year, and
Yeah,
I think it would be difficult to go back as a tourist, having lived there as a resident.
yeah, okay, yeah. So you got picked up as a model. Your career started at 54. Is that right?
Yes, actually, we were going through dates. I'm really bad at dates, and it was actually 53.
53.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
only just we only worked that out yesterday. Um, but yes, it out of the blue. I was not expecting it. I had never. When I was 16, I wanted to be a model. I wanted to be a
yeah,
pop singer. All of
yeah,
those things you want to do when you're a teenager.
yeah,
But it wasn't meant to be. I dipped into a little bit because my daughter was a model, but didn't enjoy it at all. And then suddenly, out of the blue, Mimi was working in London, our daughter, and her boss was looking for a grey model. He invited me to London. I got the job, and everything just slotted into place. It was absolutely meant to be, and I'm very happy to say that I rocked it. I even had a nude in Vogue, British
Wow.
Vogue, and I'm really proud of the
Yeah.
shoot, being my first official shoot, and it was.
Mm.
When I say it was the best day of my life, my daughter gets really upset. She says, it was supposed to be when I was born, Mum. It wasn't supposed to be any other day in the world. But it really was. It just
Wow.
made me think there is more to life
Yep.
than existing. And I think I had kind of been existing as a wife and a mother,
Yeah.
and just, toddling along like so many women do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I remember, getting into my mid 40s and saying to my mum, who's in her mid 80s now, 40s have been the best. I wouldn't go back to my 20s and 30s for anything. And she said, it actually keeps getting better. 40s are amazing. She said, you wait for, 50s are just keeps getting better. And that's absolutely been my experience. I love sharing that because I think a lot of people get worried about getting older, but it just gets better.
I cried on my 40th birthday. I did
Yeah.
not want to be 40 at all. My
Yeah.
50th, I was so excited. And I'm going to be really excited. I'm 57 this month.
Uh,
And I'm really excited to be 60.
yeah.
There is so much opportunity
Yeah.
out there. And that's what we tend to not realize,
Yeah.
that we still potentially have another 20, 30 years ahead of us
Yeah.
of experiences, of excitement, of really living,
Yeah.
and learning about ourselves, which we maybe didn't have an opportunity to do for so many
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I know from my experience, it's being less worried about what other people think. To my 20s, 30s, I was always so concerned about what everyone else thought. And I care less and less, which is lovely. It's very freeing.
Yeah, I'd like to say that the odd unpleasant comment didn't
Oh,
affect me,
yeah.
um, but they still do. And I kind of feel that I don't want to be tough enough
Yeah.
for it not to
Yeah.
affect me,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're all human.
Mm,
And I think, especially on social media, people tend to forget that the person that they're
yeah.
saying something to is a human being.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm tough, but I'm not that tough.
Yeah. I don't ever want to think I have a tough skin. I don't like that idea. I tend to borrow from Brene Brown. She talks about strong back, soft front, and I like, yeah, that works.
Exactly. That is one of my favorites. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
definitely have very soft front.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Um, so going back to your first model shoot, that was the nude. Is that what you're saying? Was the
Yes,
first
there
one?
were actually
Wow.
eight pictures, 5 pictures, but it was 8 times in British Vogue in the first year, and that
Wow.
was my first job. I mean, just so
Goodness.
I came back to Dubai thinking that I'm going to be sought after, but I came back here and no one knew anything. It was like, who is this person?
Yeah.
Grey person in Dubai. There are no grey people in Dubai. Um, so it was the most amazing thing, but I had to then push when I came back, and really hustle, because I wasn't ready to give up.
Yeah. That must have taken enormous vulnerability. I think the courage to do that. What do you imagine gave you the courage? Or it wasn't a conversation for you?
It really wasn't a conversation for me,
Mm.
because they had taken me on board knowing that I hadn't modeled before.
Mm.
They had great confidence in me, and we got to the end of the shoot and they said, would you be happy to do the nude? And I just said, yeah. I mean, the rest of the
Wow.
day had gone so brilliantly,
Yeah,
um, that it was a no-brainer.
yeah,
the,
amazing.
the fact that they had confidence in me gave me
Yeah.
confidence. Yeah.
I remember thinking that, I've had, struggles with my body and how I look for most of my life. And I remember thinking that doing being a life drawing model would be a great way to, um, to just break through that. But being nude in Vogue, that's another whole level.
Yeah, but they're not going to make you look ugly in
Yeah.
British Vogue. To be fair, if you're sitting being drawn by people, I think you're really opening up some possibly uncomfortable. It's like, yeah, I was out the other evening with my friend Dr. Natalia, and they had a caricature artist there, and
Yeah.
I said to her, I've done those before, and they are never good.
No.
Never good. And so we were kind of a bit bored at this
Yeah.
event, and we were standing looking around and said, should we just do it? So we did it. It was not good. It
Terrible. Yeah.
reminded me, just don't do it. Just don't do it. So really, I wouldn't do that. If you are at all worried about any part of your body, don't sit in front of a bunch of amateur artists.
Oh, I think that's fabulous. I hadn't thought about it that way before. You talk about in our beautiful book, you talk about going into modeling was how you found your voice. Tell me more. What do you mean?
It gave me such confidence, and it allowed me to make the decision that I wanted more from life.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to stop there, and I could so easily have stopped there, come back to Dubai, and just carried on with my day job as a school receptionist, and just thought of it as one moment of glory.
Yeah.
But I loved it so much. I wanted more. I was hungry. I
Yeah.
think that's possibly something that we need, to be hungry.
Mm.
Don't you think? There's so
Yeah.
much out there.
Yeah.
You may not know what it is, but there is something to
Yeah.
get hungry about, to be passionate about.
Yeah.
And I loved it so much. So contacted all the model agencies, and it's not the same here. They don't say, yes, but you've got to be exclusive with us and we'll look after you. It's like, okay, we'll take your name and number. If anything comes up, we'll ring you.
Yeah.
And you belong to all of the agencies in
Yeah.
Dubai. So like I said, I had to push it. I contacted the PR agencies. I just had to be seen.
Mm.
And that's what I did. I kept pushing myself forward,
Yeah.
and gradually got jobs, and was sent things by PR agencies. And you just got to hustle.
Yeah.
If you want something.
Yeah.
That's the only way. Otherwise, you just back down and don't do anything.
Yeah. I talk about the same thing. You talk about hunger. I talk about what makes you come alive. When you're doing something that's just like, I'm a bit like that. My coach says that, he knows when I'm about to do an interview because I'm like a giddy kid. It's like, oh, I get to do. And I love it. It makes me come alive. And I think for the women that are watching this that think, what is my thing? I know I'd love to do something in the entrepreneurial world. What makes you come alive? And it can be cooking, it can be gardening. It doesn't have to be some grand out there thing. But once you notice in yourself the things that you just can't get enough of, you lose time. I think that's a
Yes.
key. Mm.
Yes, I've been coaching a lady recently, and her passion is cooking.
Yeah.
And she's created this online course. She's got a month-long thing going. And she said, oh, if I'm lucky, I'll maybe get 5 people to sign up. I think she got about 18 people in the end. And it set her on her future.
Yeah.
And she's so excited about it.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have to know what your passion is. It's just knowing there is one, don't you think?
Yeah.
There is one out there.
Yeah.
And the more people you talk to about it, just one day, some little flame is going to be lit inside you. And that's what you've got to grab onto and make it happen.
Yeah.
Write your affirmations, put them on the wall, say them out loud.
You do a vision board as well, but your vision board's sort of organic, isn't it? You add to it and take things off it. It's not just
I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's actually still got cling film all over it. I can see it from here. It has not found a place yet. But my affirmations are by my toothbrush, and I still say them. I'm going to say I want money. I want to be comfortable.
Yep.
And so you've not got to be scared about
Yeah.
saying those things out loud.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want a beautiful house, and those things are my affirmations. I will have.
Yeah.
I will have money. I will have a house. We've never owned our own home.
Are you planning to stay in Dubai?
No, we're not. We've actually just employed a company to find us a barn, because we would like to convert a barn in England.
Oh, oh, how
That is
magic.
yeah,
How
that
magic.
is our dream. And luckily, David and I both had the same dream. So yeah,
Yeah.
moving forward step by step.
Yeah. I was going to say that map behind you is somewhat of a vision board, although with the COVID stuff at the moment, it's not so
Oh,
easy to travel, but
no,
you get to
no.
keep the vision. Mm.
Yes, that's true.
We all do.
We've got to believe it's going to get
Oh,
better.
yeah, well, in Australia, everything's just collapsing again. It's so frustrating. But the joy of having a business online, things haven't changed for me so much, as you know,
Yes.
which is such a gift. Your modeling career has set you on a path on Instagram as well, and you've now got a community of nearly 300,000. Is that right? Or 30,000? Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes up and down. What am I on? 280,000,
Amazing.
which is
Amazing.
amazing. It is amazing.
Yeah.
People still say, I'm unfollowing you because I thought you were natural.
Yeah.
Uh, and I've really want to have a
Yeah.
discussion with these people. Well, if you thought I was totally natural, then isn't that a good thing?
Yeah.
I think that's a really positive thing. I
Yeah.
don't. Yes, I've had a brow lift and I've had
Yeah.
a lower facelift.
Yeah.
My hair is natural. I've never said I eat organic. I'm vegan. I'm
Yeah.
au naturel.
Yeah.
I'm doing me my way. And if,
Yeah.
but then I get a zillion messages from people saying, I'm thinking of having a lower facelift. Uh, and then we have a discussion about
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
I hope I'm helping more people than, well, I obviously am helping more people than the people who are not happy with me.
Well, I think it's a conversation in itself that I actually love having. And it's this idea that people need, it's this all or nothing, this black or white.
Yes,
You're
yes,
liberal, you're label, you eat meat, or you're vegan, or you know, I don't like you if you're this, or it's like, for goodness sake, let's
yes.
with grace be okay. You know, we're not saying be friends with an axe murderer, but it's okay if somebody's got a different political stance or a different stance on Botox or no Botox or whatever it is.
Yes,
Just be curious.
it is. Yeah, ask questions. I think it is, keep asking questions.
Yeah, and be okay with other people's journeys. I think it's such a big thing on social media now that we axe people for the most incredibly personal decisions, and it's,
Yeah.
you know, I think it opens a really great conversation for women personally. So tell me, your obviously leadership and people following you is a big piece of what you possibly inadvertently set up, but what is your purpose for your following, and what are you sharing and hoping to support people with?
I don't think that I have found my ultimate
Mm,
passion yet. I'm still on a journey,
mm,
and I know there's something else out there and I don't know what it is.
mm.
And so I dip my fingers into
Yeah,
things to see if they're the right way to go. I'm supporting farmers, not factories at the moment,
yeah,
because I do believe we eat meat, and I do believe
yeah,
it's a good cause. Um, so trying out new things, finding my way, but I say that I'm stuck on a roundabout, and don't know which exit to take
mm,
yet. So that's where I am.
yeah,
Um, but I think that's kind of good, because I haven't set, I'm going there and
mm,
that's the only way.
mm,
So that I'm not there yet,
yeah,
but I'm enjoying the ride.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm just sticking with doing what is falling in my lap. So I'm working with a hospital, so I'm able to have free accessibility to
mm,
doctors. So asking questions for people who are not able to get answers, trying to find menopause specialists throughout the world. So if you tell me that there's a good one near you, then I would put that on my page. And then talking about insulin intolerance, talking about anything that crosses my mind, really. Or that you message me and say, what do you think of? And I say, well, I'll find a doctor. Like having filler and Botox in my knee, just one knee, just to see if it would get rid of that horrible wrinkly bit over the top of your knee as you age, that skin. It doesn't work at all. So I will try and find another solution, so that if you've got a wedding coming up and you want to wear a shorter dress, maybe I'll find the option that's going to work for you. But don't do filler or Botox. Don't waste your money. It's not going to work.
But I think that's, like that's obviously people are intrigued by your journey, and what you're doing is just sharing your journey,
exactly.
for people, mostly women 50 plus.
Yes.
And that's why people are following you. And I think it's almost like reality TV in some ways, isn't it? Because you're just sharing, and that takes enormous courage and vulnerability. So I really honor you for that. But sharing your journey and the different things along the way. I remember watching a video of yours when you were getting your eyebrows done, I think a few weeks ago. You're like, are they going to be too thick or not?
I got a lot of stick for that one. Oh my gosh. I mean, that was only eyebrows. Yes, because when you get your eyebrows done, for the first 3 or 4 days, they are like the only thing on your face.
Yeah.
They are like beacons. And I do have naturally thick eyebrows, and I was just they are cousins, not siblings, or they're sisters, not twins. That's what they say. So I was making them look a little bit more like twins. And that's all I was doing. But oh my goodness. Yeah, I got quite a hard time. But I like them now. They've settled down and they're quite natural.
Yeah. But you doing that is giving so much information and giving, other people either the courage to do it or the decision not to do it.
I did recently have blush lips. Do you know? So it's like tattooing, but it's not tattooing. It lasts for 1 to 3 years. And so I only have lip gloss on my lips at the moment, but it kind of defines the line. But the day of, my lips were enormous, and bright red, like your lips, but double the size. and I don't know that I dare put that on social media, because it is really scary, and people will immediately jump on, you've had filler, you've done this, you've done that, rather than going through the whole process to today they are okay. So there are some things that you kind of think, no, I'm going to get too much stick for that.
Well,
but then you might like to know that there is such a thing as blush lips.
And I think you get to embrace your journey unapologetically. If there are people that don't like it, they're welcome to leave. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's a message for all of us, especially if you're going to be courageous enough to be on social media and to have an entrepreneurial career where you're sharing things. Even through the process of what I've done with this beautiful book, and I've done many interviews now, it takes vulnerability. People don't see that, but it does. It takes enormous vulnerability and courage to put yourself forward when there's always somebody who's ready to criticize.
Yeah, and they're mean.
Yeah, that's all right.
Girls are mean.
Yeah. They can move on by. That's all right. I think it's all part of the conversation, and I think there's a lot to be learnt from it. And as women, we get to acknowledge it for what it is, because people that feel really good about themselves don't criticize other people. Let's face it. Yeah. So, imposter syndrome. Caroline, how do you deal with that? Does it still come up? That was my phone, sorry, and it just I just put on silent, but it still wanted to make a noise.
It's still buzzing. I know. I was thinking, is that my I'm so sorry. So
No, no.
sorry. Sorry, imposter syndrome.
Yeah, good enough. How does that play out in your decisions and in the modeling jobs you get and so on?
Um, the modeling jobs are fine.
Yeah.
Being a coach, I occasionally think, who am I to be talking to you? Um, and even on Instagram, who am I to have 280,000 followers? And I'll go to my husband, who luckily is my best friend, and he will pretty much sort me out and put
Mm.
things in perspective. But doesn't everybody have it?
Mm. Yeah, I think they do. I think they do.
And I'm incredibly lucky to have David. I love having a girlfriend, but we have moved so much, and they come and go, and it's just easier to have your
Yeah.
husband at the end of the day as your best friend. Who do you talk to?
Yeah. Uh, Me? Oh, I've got girlfriends and masterminds and my amazing husband, my children.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It takes, I remember hearing Oprah say that, she's interviewed every possible, presidents and Beyonce and so on, and all of them get to the end of an interview and go, was that okay?
yeah,
It's not necessarily imposter syndrome, but everybody's looking for that validation that what they've put forward is being received well. And I think it's okay. I think it's okay,
yeah.
but it can be paralyzing if we let it.
Do you think it's like actors saying if they don't feel nervous that
Um,
they've lost it?
yeah,
It's the nervousness that makes them act well.
give that edge, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it
It
is.
is, but it is what it is at the end of the day, isn't it? And you're going to be interviewed, so you're just going to get on and do it. But
Mm.
at the end, you are going to think, was that okay? And I'll probably say the same to you after this. And then you'll say, no, we've got to do it all over again.
Oh no. I always think if we get a few laughs in, it's an amazing indicator that it feels good. And I know I've done, I don't know, well over 100 interviews now. And the feedback I always get is just this lovely conversational style. People with it's just pulling other people into our conversation, I think.
Yes, and girls love to sit down and have a chat.
Oh yeah.
And I very often do that. If people DM me and say they've got a problem about something, or they're sad, I mean, just anything,
Yeah.
I will occasionally say, let's have a Zoom.
Yeah.
We'll just have a cup of coffee and just have a chat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a really good feeling.
Mm. It absolutely is. Yeah, it absolutely is.
We can fix the world.
Oh yeah, and we are. We are. Just need to leave the news off. That's one of
Oh my
my
gosh,
tips. Mm.
I know.
Yeah. So we at the beginning we talked about this third chapter in your life. Tell me, I know you did an Instagram um, live with your husband, but tell us, a little bit what you're talking about. What is the third chapter, and what's that going to look like for you?
Well, David's going to win the Ironman World Championships
Amazing.
in many years to come. That
Yeah.
is his aim. And knowing him, he will,
Yeah.
because he sets his mind to something. And I'm going on to do some amazing things. I know that they are amazing ahead of me, but I don't have the foggiest idea what they are.
Yeah.
But I just know
Yeah.
there is something is going to happen.
Yeah.
I just know.
I think that's such an amazing thing for the people listening to hear. It's that faith, it's that piece of mystery. I mean, people often tie faith to religion, but it's not necessarily a religious connotation. It is that the faith in the unfolding, it's a knowing in your heart. So if you had a blank slate, which you kind of do, you've just moved, there's a brand new blank slate in front of you. How do you go about finding the next thing? What's your process?
It will find me.
Mm,
I know it will find me.
mm,
It will. I don't know how it will happen. It's just knowing that something will. It's
mm.
um I don't know. Years ago, when I was just in my existing phase,
Yeah,
I was in a car with somebody and she said, I want a Bentley. And I keep seeing Bentleys. And the more I want one, the more Bentleys I see.
yeah,
And there are a lot in Dubai, by the way.
yeah,
um, and I was thinking, I wouldn't want a Bentley.
yeah,
Anyway, she ended up with a Bentley.
yeah,
Um, I just think that I don't think, I know something is going to happen. Like I got an email
yeah.
a couple of years ago inviting me to China to enter a beauty pageant.
Mm,
That came out. I have never in my wildest dreams, even when I was a teenager,
yeah,
and entering a beauty pageant. Um, and they flew me there. First of all, we thought, nah, this is weird, not doing this. David was in on a Zoom meeting saying, no, you're not going there. Literally within 10 days, I was in China
amazing.
and I won. And I have a huge crown and just weird. But I believe something like that will happen again.
Yeah,
And I think it'll probably happen in England because that'll be our next move as soon as we find somewhere. Um, so maybe I should go as far as saying it will happen in
yeah,
England.
yeah.
And I can't add it to my list of dreams because I don't know what it is.
What it is. I like to say if nothing changes, nothing changes. And by that I mean if we keep always eating in the same place and just having the same routine and doing the same things, nothing changes.
Yeah, that's a bit
You,
like my cooking.
yeah.
Oh, we're having that again. Yeah, nothing changes.
Yeah. But if nothing changes, nothing changes. You've got to do, it's usually takes some kind of
Yeah,
uncomfortable action. So you've
yeah,
moved, you've put yourself out there, you're going back to
yeah,
England, you put yourself on Instagram, you're talking to different people, connecting with different people.
yeah,
And that's, like, so for the people listening, for the women listening, it's just like, what can you change up in your life so that you might meet somebody different or do a course or, actually put into action something you've already learned.
yes. Before my new life, I never went out in the evening by myself. It would
Mm,
not have occurred to me to get dressed up, leave my husband at home,
mm,
and drive to an event.
yeah,
And now I do it. Sometimes I'll walk into an event and feel incredibly uncomfortable because I'm probably going to be 20 years older than
yeah,
everybody else there, especially being in Dubai.
yeah,
Um, and I'll do the rounds and then I'll leave.
yeah,
But I have to be seen. That you've got to keep your face out there
yeah,
if you want to move forward in any kind of industry,
yeah,
like modeling
yeah, yeah.
or social media. You've got to keep up the content.
Mm,
You just got to keep pushing forward.
mm,
You can't sit at home and watch Netflix every night, which
no,
is what we did over COVID. um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you've got to put yourself, like you said, you've got to put yourself in uncomfortable
Mm,
situations
mm,
sometimes.
yeah. So right now, what does a rich and prosperous life look like to you, Caroline?
Oh, my own home.
Yeah, yeah,
We've got 3 dogs, as you know from a bit of dog noise that you've
yeah.
had in the past. 2 big dogs who unfortunately will not travel back to England, and we
Oh,
won't leave Dubai, or David won't leave Dubai until they are no more. Um, so we will go backwards and forwards until it is ultimately the time to move. But we have one little one, so the thought of putting her in a field for the first
mm,
time and smelling all those amazing smells and
yeah,
just having our own home.
yeah,
We've lived in rented houses all of our married life because David being in the army.
yes,
And yeah, so that's the most exciting thing.
magic. And in the country.
Yes, not too remote. I don't want to be in the middle of nowhere. I'd love a village with a
Yeah.
little shop.
Mm.
That's my dream.
Are you introverted, do you think?
I could have become a recluse.
Yeah.
My grandmother was quite reclusive. My mother is definitely, especially again with this flipping COVID
Oh,
thing,
no.
she hasn't left the house for a year or so.
Mm.
Um, and so it's very easy for her to slip into that. We were going to live in Canada,
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere, but then this happened because we bought land there 15 years ago, and then this happened, and I couldn't bear the thought of going and living in the middle of nowhere. So we sold our land, hence now going back to England, and hopefully my work will continue.
Yeah. I would be quite happy. I'm a country girl at heart, and having something fairly remote just is actually appeals hugely to me. I love it.
But you would continue doing what you're doing if you did
Mhm.
that, and
Yeah.
that would all fit in. Whereas
Yeah.
for me, I have to go to the city, and I love events. I love getting dressed
Yeah.
up. I love wearing my
Oh, I
Manolo.
do too.
And
Yeah.
I just that's what worries me about going to England. Am I going to be able to wear my Manolos again? I love my shoes. I bought them with my first paycheck with the number one Rosemary Water Vogue shoot. I bought
Yeah.
myself a pair of Manolo Blahnik shoes, and I love
Beautiful.
them.
It's one of the first things I do with clients. If I have a client that rings me and says, I'm really flat, I just can't get myself going, or I'm feeling really down, I like go and have a shower and put on something beautiful and do your makeup. And it just brings you to life. Is
I
that,
thought you were going to say, tell her to go and buy a pair of shoes.
oh, yeah, well, no. I'll add that to the list.
Oh, wow.
I'll add that to the list. But I think it makes an enormous difference. I think we've got a lot of people have got in particularly over COVID, we've had like 18 months of in and out, and being at home a lot. And it's easy just to put on whatever's at the end of the bed or a tracksuit or whatever. And it doesn't matter if what makes you feel amazing is blue jeans and gumboots and a flannel shirt. If you feel amazing in that, then put that on. It doesn't matter what it is. But I think how we dress has an enormous effect on how we feel.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
that is absolutely true. And I didn't love getting dressed up as much as I do now.
Mm, yeah. So I think as a final question, as we wrap this up, obviously because it's something that's very dear to my heart, is like going back to that third chapter for the women that are sitting out there going, well, I'm 50 or early 50s and I've had these jobs, I can probably retire soon. Is there really any point in starting something new now? What would you say?
Well, what are the options? Well,
Mm,
like we said, you've got 30 years ahead of you.
mm,
Do something bold. Do
mm.
something
Yes.
groundbreaking for
Yeah.
you. It doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be groundbreaking for anyone else.
Mm,
But when you see somebody's eyes light up when they've got a passion, that is the option, isn't it? That, or sitting waiting to become a grandparent,
yes. Yes.
which is a lovely idea also. And if that's all you want to do, that's fine. But don't just accept that if that isn't what you want,
Mm,
because there
mm,
is so much out there.
yeah.
And if you really don't know what it is, it would be worth getting a coach,
Mm,
maybe even one session,
mm,
just somebody who makes you think about what's going on in your head. Is
mm,
there spaghetti in there? Do you need
mm,
to sort it out,
mm.
or is your mind completely clear and you're just happy with
Yep.
your lot?
Yeah. And I think it is that what makes you come alive. I've said it a few times, but my husband, who's 57, heading for 58, and we go to the movies and they're putting ads for retirement villages for people 50 plus. And we look at each other and it's like, can you imagine us being in a retirement village? The mind boggles that people are
Yeah.
feeling like slowing down at 50. I feel like we're just taking off. It's
We
amazing.
love going to the cinema. We go to the cinema at 10 o'clock on a Friday, which is our Saturday here in
Yeah.
Dubai. First thing in the morning when there's no one else there. Love it.
Yeah.
So, love going out. together and doing that. But it is really important to to make that decision of what you want for yourself,
Yeah.
for you, for no one else.
Yep. Yep. It's
So
magic.
it's only you. And if you've got a room full of people, who are you going to be drawn to? You're going to be drawn to the person who is excited about life,
Yep.
not the person who isn't
Yeah.
excited. I mean,
Yes. Yeah, it's that magnetic quality. So I think that's a perfect final question. If you look at a woman, you go, "Oh my goodness, what a phenomenal woman." What are you seeing?
well, that exactly.
Mm,
It doesn't matter your size. It doesn't matter other than health aspects, obviously.
yeah.
It doesn't matter what you look like. People say, "Oh, but you're attractive. You're lucky." It doesn't matter
Mm,
in the grand scheme of things, because again, if you've got that room full of people, you
mm,
will be drawn to the person who is excited about life,
yeah.
whose eyes are alive, and that
Yeah.
is the person you're going to go to. So it doesn't matter, just be excited
Yeah.
and happy. And no, well, you don't have to be happy every day either. That's too much to expect of anybody in the world. But just be, not know what's around the corner, but know there's something.
Yeah. This series, the name for this series was inspired by Maya Angelou's poem Phenomenal Woman. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
But Maya Angelou is a classic example of that. She's probably not somebody that we would have looked at as classically beautiful, but she's incredibly beautiful because she just had that inner,
She has an
so
aura.
powerful, and just that inner knowing of ourselves and that self-love. It's there, all these little pieces, I think, that
Yeah, she has an aura about her. And
amazing.
those are the people that we're drawn to,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
amazing.
Yeah.
Just
So
like you.
shine, keep shining.
Absolutely, Caroline, you do it beautifully. I was so drawn to you on Instagram, and I'm so grateful for your time and for contributing your wisdom to this series. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being with us.
Thanks very much.